The face of the Syrian crisis has become Aylan Kurdi, the 3-year-old boy who washed up on the shore of Turkey. It was an image that shocked all of us. The face of the Syria crisis is also Ali, a 14-year-old Syrian boy now living in Lebanon. Ali fled the war in Syria with his mother and his 2 brothers. He has now dropped out of World Vision's education program in Lebanon. Ali is now working 3 jobs, at a library, an exchange office, and a charcoal shop to help support his family. He told our staff, "I may die tomorrow or the day after. I can't dream of a future." Madam Chair, these children don't expect to live long. Since World Vision focuses on specialized programming for children, today I will highlight the particular needs and vulnerabilities of children affected by the conflict. Across the region, over 2 million Syrian children have crossed borders and now live as refugees in Lebanon, Turkey, Jordan, Egypt, and Iraq. And the life as a refugee is very difficult for a child. Fathers and mothers are daily making decisions about whether or not to put their families in a dinghy to cross the Mediterranean, whether or not to have their children leave school in order to work, whether or not they should agree to early marriages for their daughters because it's less mouths to feed. Quite alarmingly, the specific needs of Syrian children are largely not being addressed within the humanitarian response. In World Vision's office in Jordan, pictures drawn by Syrian refugee children line our hallways. Their colored pictures are heartbreaking, portraying destruction of homes, bloodshed, and violence. One showed a child in the corner of the picture silently witnessing the horror. These children need mental health care and psychosocial support in order to process their traumatic experiences. Not addressing emotional impact and stress children have experienced could lead to a generation of children experiencing long-term mental, social, and economic problems. Further, the crisis has had a devastating impact on the education of millions of children. Rather than gaining an education, the crisis continues to push large numbers of Syrian children into the labor market. Refugee children working to support their families are even more vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. Unfortunately, children's programs for child protection, education, and psychosocial support remain some of the most underfunded areas of the response. We need to prioritize these programs for children. Third, livelihoods. Invest in key economic sectors in host countries and incentive livelihood programming to increase employment opportunities. And finally, humanitarian response fundraising. In conclusion, the war haunts an entire generation of Syria's children. Every single child in Syria today under the age of 8 only knows life impacted by war. This crisis is shaping an entire generation of children. The threat of aerial attacks on schools and homes shapes them. The loss of their fathers, mothers, siblings, cousins, and friends shapes them. The threat of displacement from home shapes them. The reality of not having enough food shapes them. The reality of not having warm clothing and blankets during winter shapes them. I'd like to thank the committee for inviting World Vision to testify and for your work on this Syrian humanitarian crisis.